Three. Happy Valentine's Day, buddy.
Yeah, man. Happy Valentine's Day.
You're not wearing anything red or uh did you do anything for your family? Did you tell them that you love them this morning? Did you
No, I don't, I don't,
give them
I don't,
any
I don't,
heartsies or candies or flowers or anything?
I don't tell my family that I love them in the morning. That's not something that we do in our
Oh.
household.
Oh, cool.
No,
Okay.
no, man. I think Valentine's Day is one of my favorite holidays for one reason. I personally am not a big Hallmark, uh, holiday person. Valentine's Day has never really been all that special to me and important. It is now though, because we have a family tradition where every Valentine's Day, we decided to do this a number of years back, but we go to Barnes and Noble. We go to dinner as a family. We hang out, we go to Barnes and Noble and typically have like some hot chocolates. And at the end I'm sorry, we go around, we pick, everybody can pick a book. So you can pick a book, we'll buy you one book, and then usually kids pick, I don't know, either another book. Like my always gets two books. The boys always get, like, they sell toys in Barnes and Noble now and Legos. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But my point is, we use it as an opportunity to take our kids out to do something fun. We take all our books to the little cafe area. We all have hot chocolate, sit down, and we just look at our books and we just have a conversation. But what I love about it is the intentionality of, we're going to talk about this, different decisions we make and impact being a critical part. Well, what it does is it puts our kids in an environment that we do something that's really important to us, right? Like we hang out with them, we break bread, all good things. We talk. My daughter and I didn't take our cell phones in. Like that was something I was like, hey, let's leave your cell phone here. I'll leave mine. There's little lessons in that. And then also, we love to read. Eric and I love to read and absolutely just cherish being in books. And so the kids, like, they thrive in there, right? There's no devices. It's not Nintendo. It's not TV. It's books. And that gets their minds going. And Jake asks questions about this book and the Bible and this and that. And we all talk about our books. And so it's really a meaningful day. And probably what we should do is like do that every quarter or something, like just as a fun thing. But it's just that's our tradition, right? And there's not a lot of, like, and I wrote my kids little notes and stuff like that, but I don't like, we don't get like the Valentine's Day card and do the Valentine's Day date dinner and stuff like that with my wife and I. So it's a special day. We enjoy it.
Nice, man. It's cool. Well, speaking of books, I'm reading a book right now that a friend of ours, Kevin Goodnight, told me about. It's called The World Needs a Father, and it's really, really good. I mean, chapter one, like, will crush you. Uh, but there's a chapter that talks about like phases of life, and it's really just the phases of life of your children on, what they need from a father, what they need from a mother, stages of life where like one's more important as far as like the role that they play, but it continues on through the phases of life until, like, age 90. One of the phases is phase, he calls it phase five, and he calls it halftime. And it's this phase of life that you and I are currently in, ages 43 to 48. And I'm just going to kind of read a little section of it because I thought it was really impactful, because it's it's what we went through, and maybe still going through in a bit of trying to figure it out. And I think a lot of men this similar age go through it. Obviously, it does, because he's writing about it. And there's an entire book named Halftime that is on my reading list I haven't read yet. He says that at halftime, you have to stop. You have to take stock and do a thorough self audit, asking yourself some of the following questions. What do I want to be remembered for? What will my life look like if it turns out exactly the way I imagined it? Am I living a balanced life? Am I becoming the person I want to be? What's the primary loyalty of my life? Where do I seek inspiration and mentors for my life? And it goes on. There's all these questions. Essentially, it's like, what's the purpose of my life, right? I think a lot of men specifically go through earlier stages of career and job progression, and just get so focused on career, making money, building wealth, providing for the family. And then at some stage, halftime, they take a look and realize that, oh man, what am I doing here? Like, what's all this for? And that's exactly what happened to the two of us. Um, and he continues on. He says, basically, you have three choices that you could make to continue down one of these paths when you're at this halftime mark. You can choose indifference, and essentially that's just continuing on status quo, living the same life that you've been doing over and over again, with no vision, no purpose, no passion, and this pretty much always leads to regret. Like you will get to the end of your life and you'll have tons of regret. That's option one. That's choice one. Choice two, indulgence. You can get to the same inflection point and you can choose to just go bigger, right? Live on worldly pleasures, go after possessions, make more money, get more power, get more acknowledgement. And he says that this often leads to a sense of emptiness because you'll get to the end of your life and you'll find out that money didn't make you happy, right? Possessions, power, none of that made you happy. Or third, you can choose influence. And this allows you to live a life orientation that focused on transformation of others. Your satisfaction is gained through seeking and developing the potential in others. You live with a broad perspective and you have a growing influence. Basically, you decided to serve and you've served others and you're impacting others in a positive way. And so, um, for the two of us, we've chosen path number three, influence and impacting men, husbands, fathers, and our children, and pushing out a positive message and helping men connect with Jesus. And so I thought it was really interesting because we've seen a lot of people, we have relationships, we've seen a lot of men at this current stage get to this point and have to make that decision, and some don't make that same decision. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the saddest part about and also the most awesome part about what you just read and what he wrote about was I don't think, he makes it sound like it's a choice. And I think for most men, they don't make a choice. Like they just go through and they choose one of those paths, but a lot of times, unless it's the last one, right? Unless it's the path of influence and impact, when you choose something like that, you're very intentional with defining what that means for you. You're very intentional with the even saying I want to make an impact in this area, like I want to be a better dad for whatever, for example. But when you choose something like that to make an impact, typically you're much more self-aware and you are intentional and you've chosen it. You've chosen the path. The other two, I think, just kind of happen. I think a lot of men, a lot of people, but men specifically, and men in leadership roles, whether it's in their house or their businesses or whatever they're doing, because we're all in those roles. We can all be in those roles. Um, they just kind of let life continue to go. And so it's while you have a choice, it's very empowering. It's so empowering to know you have a choice. And I would respect if a dude's like, man, I'm going to go with choice number one or choice number two. Like I'd respect the fact that they're choosing it, right? I'd be like, okay, like I don't necessarily, I wouldn't choose that path, but good on you. At least you're doing it with your eyes wide open. Most of us are asleep at the wheel and our eyes are closed. And so if you choose, you know, by definition, being indifferent, effectively, you're indifferent, and so you're
Yeah,
not
you're not
choosing it.
choosing.
You're just indifferent. You're just
Yeah.
living the status quo. You're just living that life. And most of us, if it's indulgent, a lot of us don't even know that we're being indulgent, right? Like we're just my paycheck went up, so my spending's going to go up, and so I want that nicer car and this and that because this is what somebody told me is important. And so I think a lot of these things are just we're just not making a decision, and you have the power to do it, which is awesome. And again, there's no judgment. Like if you choose any of those paths, but the only judgment that I would say I don't have for somebody else, but you should judge yourself is, am I taking and owning and making decisions on whatever path I'm choosing? And am I being completely transparent and honest with myself? Because if I'm not, now that's a problem, right? And that's a recipe for regret down the line at a point in your life when it's too late to do anything about it.
Yeah,
And so I
man.
think I love those three paths. I love the fact that he highlights that there are three paths, and now I just challenge men. Hey, like be intentional, right? Like choose. Like I challenge like today's Valentine's Day. Like I challenge you to I challenge everybody out there that, oh, today's super cool. I bought my wife flowers and I did this and I was super sweet and I said I love you. Cool. Like that's great. That's because society told you like that's what you do today. It's a Hallmark holiday. You went and bought a card. Congratulations. What do you do tomorrow? What did you do yesterday? Can you buy flowers more than once a year? Like, can you do that? You totally can. Like, why don't you? Like, just make the choice. Like, I could go to Barnes and Noble multiple times a year with the kids and have just another reason and excuse to do these things. But do I? And if I don't, why not? And when I'm in that moment, what am I doing about it? And what are the decisions I'm making? Because no matter what, whether you choose to make a decision or not, you're doing something that's sending a message. And you are, if you don't choose a path of impact, well, guess what? You're making an impact. Oh, my dad was an absentee dad. Yeah. And I didn't, he never did anything for me or did anything with me. Like it kind of sucked. Like I don't feel like I have a relationship. Like that'll come out eventually. That's an impact, right? That's an indifference impact. Or, dude, my dad was like totally present and we did these amazing things and loved it and it was great. My husband's awesome. But I mean, like there's gonna be an impact and you should just at least be aware of it and try to control that narrative as much as you can because of the impact that you desire to have.
Yeah, man, I love it. One other thing that kind of came to mind with this, and I mean, this is really for anything. If you're planning to be intentional and actually do something, is you can read a book like this, right? Or you can listen to a podcast. You can listen to our podcast and get motivated by what we're saying, or you can listen to a church sermon and get fired up. But it's the next step that really makes the most difference. It's the step of like doing something about it, right? I can read this book and be like, yep, I'm choosing to be and make an impact, right? I'm choosing to not be indifferent. But what are you going to do about it, right? And so I think that one of the steps that you can take is surrounding yourself with other people that are doing the same thing. Surround yourself with other men that are going to give you ideas. They're going to tell you what they're doing, give you an example, push you to grow along with them. Um, do something from what you're reading, do something from what you're listening, and like go be better for it. Like make a change. Like you'll never change anything. You'll never be intentional. You'll never do this stuff if you actually don't take action. So maybe that's the step we leave with is do something about it.
Amen. Well said. Go do something.
If you want to join us, we're starting TKM Reflections in March. We're meeting once a month, and we're going to challenge you to do something. We'll put a sign up link in the show notes. Check it out.
Check it out. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Boom. I don't know
But
who said that. I don't know who said that, but it's awesome.
I'm gonna
It's
I'm
awesome.
gonna I'm gonna quote you and post it all over social media. And then
Nothing changes. Nothing changes.
I like it.
TCAM Reflections. See ya.
So